Good evening, everybody. It is. Is it Tuesday? Is it Tuesday or is it Sunday, Monday, Thursday, Friday? I don't know. Oh wait, hold on. I'm sorry, guys. It's Wednesday. So welcome into Other Rhythm Fantasy Sports. I'm your host, Jamie. I got my co-host, Eli, and we have ourselves a guest today, JDA Sports. Welcome on.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Go ahead, Eli.
You know what? We've gone with middle-aged guys. We've gone with guys that live with their mother. Now we went with to get the teeny boppers in here. But JDA
Yeah.
Sports, he knows his stuff. So this will be a great episode, and looking forward to doing a little banter and drinking some more of this long. Look at this. I had this same thing last week. You know what? This is what happens when they give you a 6-pack of this stuff. You don't run out there. This is my last one. And, yeah, it's pretty damn good. Cranberry.
Yes, go ahead. Well, I like to say JDA Sports. He's kind of. I mean, he's been around this for a while. Well, how about this? How about you introduce yourself?
I'm Jordan. My YouTube channel is JDA Sports, and I turned 17 in about a month and a half, 2 months. So I've been doing fantasy for like I think 4 years now. So I have some experience. So yeah.
Well, that's good.
He's
Yeah,
ready.
I mean, he was actually on one of the Facebook groups, and he was a messenger, and I was just like, what's going on here? So I'm just like, he was like, "Hey, we want to do some mocks or some channels or whatever." And I was like, he thought I was bashing him at the moment, so I was like, "No, dude, I just want to know your channel, man. I want to check out your channel and stuff like that and whatnot."
Uh,
And so,
I was gonna say you give that impression. I mean, everybody else, that's just how he is. But yeah, they don't know if he's joking or if he's ribbing them or. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm glad he had a sense of humor and he didn't totally discard us. And
yeah, that's for sure. Yes, no, I mean, I thought he said, Jordan actually sounded pretty intelligent for someone, usually a lot of teens, they're not usually into this kind of stuff, and I'm like, wow, dude. I'm like, this is kind of interesting to have someone at his age kind of in some fantasy sports because a lot of teens are off doing some other crap or they're usually on their phones. They never talk about sports. So I'm like, hey, man, we'll help you along. We'll kind of guide you. And he's got himself a Discord channel as well. So I mean, he's even got more subs than we do, Eli. That's sad.
well, well, you know what? If any of those people happen to be tuning in, oddly enough, you can follow us all on Discord. We have a good time over there. Self-admittedly, I'm not on there as much as I should be. And Jay probably wants to slap me across the webcam here, but go on over there. That's how we'll get more guests on the show. Honestly, people will like the content and whatnot. And you know what? If you haven't re-listened to any of the shows, because we've been doing this for a minute now, okay? That we have plenty of places you can find us. Okay, let's go down the list here. Spotify, which is a personal favorite of mine and Jay's. Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, probably some other platforms I'm not even thinking about. YouTube for sure.
Uh, yeah. Yeah. I was just gonna say, if you don't catch any of our live streams, all of our stuff, all of our other content is on YouTube. Yeah. So this is our last AFC preview. Then we're gonna be head over on the NFC side. So yeah, if you want to go back, we got all the AFC stuff. So go back, check that out. Even all of our pods and stuff like that. Go back and check that all out. And then yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll do a quick little recap for him, Jay. If they haven't seen any of these episodes yet, we started this about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Did the AFC East first. So if you're a Bills lover, if you want to see what we think about Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson and the boys, the Jets, Dolphins, they always got weapons. Then we went over and we did that abysmal. Oh God. Well, I think that was last week though. We did the AFC South. I don't even want to. You know what? That episode just right. Kobe right in the trash can. And then the week before that, obviously, we did the AFC North, which I enjoyed quite a bit. So, and I know a couple Steeler fans, and they liked our stream. So, Bengals, there's quite a bit of options there. So, but AFC West today.
Yes. Yes, that is good. Well, actually, after that, yeah, we'll just hit
Getting
it.
all choked up now.
Are you? Oh my goodness gracious. um, well,
That
I
was
guess
traumatic last week. It was.
yeah, it was. I mean, well, Jordan over there, he kind of saw a little bit. He was kind of bouncing in and out a little bit. I'm sure he was just probably just shaking his head, like, dude, what are you guys even doing?
Yeah. So yeah.
Oh,
I
man.
watched as much as I could. I was helping out with my little sister, but I enjoyed the watching a lot more.
Yes, I'm sure. Let's. I guess let's hit some quick NFL news, and then let's kind of go from there.
Absolutely.
I'm sure everybody's seen Ryan Mallett, who actually passed away here, drowned down in Florida, which is kind of a saddening thing for being age 35. That's something you don't want to see.
Yeah, no, that's a year older than me, man. I mean, that hits close to home. I remember when he was at Arkansas, and he was a top prospect. I remember the 2011 draft. They had Christian Ponder and Blaine Gabbert, a lot of those guys, and Ryan Mallett was like right up there with them, and he was a 3rd-round pick with the Patriots, and never really got a crack at. Obviously Brady was there, and I think he went to Baltimore, maybe Houston too. If I was reading that right, but he's kind of one of those just career backup kind of guys. But
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, I just kind of saw that yesterday. I was like, what? I'm like, no way.
excuse me.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, I seen that he got beat out by Brady. He did play with a little bit of Texans, and he did a little bit with the Ravens too, I believe. I think he ended up with the Texans at the end of his career. Then called her quits.
I think and then he became a high school head coach for football, and
Yep.
it's sad, man. That's right down the
Yeah.
road for my brother.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll see Eric. He'll chime in or comment. He'll listen occasionally, and Eric lives in Panama City, which is like right down the road from Destin and Fort Walton Beach. They call the whole coast the Emerald Coast because it's got gorgeous beaches. But I guess there's been a lot of riptides this year. I think he was saying, or I was reading, like there's been like 7 deaths in the last couple weeks at Panama City Beach, like just from riptides. I mean, it's no joke. I mean, this is a big athletic guy drowning. I mean, this stuff doesn't young, big athletic guy drowning. That stuff doesn't happen. You know what I mean? Usually it's elderly or young kids or shark attack. Like typical stuff you hear about down there. It's just tragic. But.
Yeah, that's crazy. It is. Some quick top NFL news. Quick. Barkley, they're still resuming contract stuff. Parker gets actually a 3-year deal with the Patriots.
Why?
Right. We can come back to that here in a second.
We will.
Kendall Hinton undergoes minor offseason procedure. KJ Hamler, is eyeing a return in training camp, which is two of the Broncos guys we'll end up probably talking about anyways. Devon A-Chain, early offseason standout. And then we had
that here.
Then Isaiah Rodgers is probably, with that Colts batting thing, he might be receiving a season-long suspension, maybe with a couple other guys too as well, from what I was kind of seeing. And Zonovan Knight battling some injuries in OTAs, so hopefully he can maybe make the roster. Hopefully, Denzel Mims on the wrong side of the roster or bubble. We'll kind of see how that kind of phases out, and then DeAndre Hopkins is still looking for a team. So,
I was going to ask you guys quick while I cough up that bullshit. Where's DeAndre end up? I know this has been going on for quite a few weeks now. I know there's been different reports: the Patriots, Titans, Kansas City at one point. Just Buffalo, all the contenders. There's plenty of options. I ultimately, I still think because of what he did like half the year last year after the suspension, and he still proved he can get it done. I think he signs with the Titans. Titans, they are a joke right now at skill position. They really are. Other than Derrick Henry, and I mean, who the hell they have at tight end? Receivers, nothing. You go to DeAndre steps in day one, and he's the number one guy. He's number one, in targets, everything. Like, I think that's what he wants. I think he wants to make a little bit of money. He'd probably want to win a Super Bowl like everybody else. But end of the day, it's like, dude, you can make money and be the number one guy and then pad those Hall of Fame stats. I think he ends up with the Titan. And I was right about Aaron Rodgers. So I got, I know things.
Well, what do you think, Jordan?
I mean, I honestly, if I had to guess, I'd go Patriots. But I've heard rumors that there's interest from the Panthers recently, and I think there was one other team. But I've heard that the Panthers are pretty interested now. But I think he's gonna go to the Patriots.
Ooh, the Panthers. That wouldn't be a bad fit. I mean, they can pump out, have a Marshall and Thielen combination up in there.
I think he steps in. If he went to Carolina, I think he'd be that's another team. He'd be the number one guy.
Yeah.
I don't
You
see
play
those
with some
guys
Bryce.
them out.
I mean, I don't know who. I can't remember who their tight end is down there. But once we get to that, then I'll
Tommy Tremble.
Probably more than like
Hayden Hurst. A few months ago, I think they signed Hayden Hurst. So.
Hayden Hurst.
Yeah. That's a wash. Yep.
Yeah.
Kind of mediocre guy.
Yeah,
there,
Joe Burrow ain't throwing him the football anymore.
Probably a good thing too. Titans. I think the Titans would be the best fit because they got the run game that can just pretty much be a number one. The run game can pretty much outbeat any offense. Derrick Henry is the beast down there. I mean, if he did land down there, I mean, I could see the Titans being a playoff contender if that does happen.
And Will Levis doesn't do many things good. I think he's awful, but the guy does have a big arm and he can get the ball down the field. And DeAndre's still got elite speed, so that'd be I think 10. That would help the whole offense. I mean, that instead of being a 7-10 team that gets their coach fired, I mean, you bring in DeAndre. I mean, the Titans definitely have a shot at the playoffs. Getting one of those last wild cards. I feel.
Yeah. Oh yeah. More than likely. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. And I do think if DeAndre did go to the Titans, we would see a little more Will Levis because he would have someone to get him into the NFL, I guess. Welcome him, help him develop for sure. And then it would be good for Carolina, same reason, with Bryce Young too. So
yeah, I would absolutely agree. For sure. Well, is it time for us just to jump in and swim in the ocean with whoever?
I don't want to smack my mic here. Are we swimming? We're swimming with the sharks now.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
We need those little sound jingles so I can put the dun 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 dun, the little Jaws theme.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Yeah.
All
right. So you guys want to start with the teams? All right.
Let's go,
right.
man.
I was just gonna get a plug in quick. I put on the scroll at the bottom. If any of you guys are wrestling fans, the Money in the Bank pay-per-view is on Peacock this Saturday, and it's just I think it's gonna be a really good card.
I'm watching
I don't know if you've
it.
been following the Bloodline. There's like a civil war going on. The Usos are against Roman now, and Finn Balor and Seth Rollins are fighting for the world championship. So yeah, and then they have the men's and women's ladder matches, to get the Money in the Bank's contract. So yeah, that should be a good pay-per-view. So I'll be watching. You guys watching?
Oh, I'll be watching. That's for damn
right.
Sure. I got that
with you.
I got that sub for freaking Peacock. So
I know
I'm all down.
Sure.
All right.
Dude, it's cheap. It's only like $5 a month, man. So I'm like, hell yeah.
For the kind of content you get. Logan Paul's.
Oh hell yeah.
Be on the show. He's
Yep.
in the Money in the Bank ladder match. So yeah, plenty of star power.
Yeah, you got that right.
Speaking of star power, though, let's see what Jordan and Jay got to say about this. So these are my Charger top. You know what? We're gonna kick it off the top, blow the top off right here. Top 5 Chargers right now. It's gonna be a little bit controversial on purpose because this time I'm gonna ruffle a few feathers. The other teams will probably be in line with, but the Chargers I thought were the most polarizing team, so that's why I wanted to start with them. Austin Eckler. He's been putting up kind of stealth mode. I know he was almost. I know the Rams were trying to trade for him in the offseason. Rams were trying to trade for everybody. I mean, look at their running back. It's a joke. Look at the running backs. So I think Austin Eckler is the top fantasy guy for the Chargers. I think he's got one more elite year left. And I think he's better at his position than Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert's great, but he ain't Mahomes. He ain't Burrow. He ain't Josh Allen. He ain't even Jalen Hurts. You could argue that Justin Herbert may be 6 or 7 in terms of like fantasy quarterbacks. Fantasy Pros had him about 7 or 8. So they're right in step with that too. So, but in terms of like my Eli ruffling feathers. Oh, Big D! I heard you guys are having a baseball show. Let's plug that real quick, Jay. You guys having a baseball show next Monday?
Yeah, next Monday. Yep.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then you guys will get some more Donovan and less of me. That's terrible. So make sure you tune into that. Justin Herbert. In terms of predictions, Jay will have some stats here. Maybe Jordan will too. But I would say Herbert has, 4,400 yards passing, and I would say 32 touchdowns, which is that's a damn good season. I mean, that's elite. But I think Eckler can have a 1,500 yard season on the ground. I think he's just as good as anybody. I think he's just as good. I mean, we don't know what Josh Jacobs' status is. He was the leading rusher last year. But I could see Eckler. And then, like all-purpose yards, I mean, this guy's going to be pushing 2,000 with receiving, rushing, and all that. And he scores touchdowns. Some of these running backs, like Najee Harris, they don't score touchdowns. Their value. This guy scores. He's the real McCoy, man. This guy, receptions, get you points there. Get you points with receiving yards. Get you points rushing yards. Touchdown. Does everything. So he's my number 1. Herbert 2. This is a little bit this is where it gets murky. Okay, well, this is like that water down in Florida right now. This is my riptide. Mike Williams at 3. Yeah, this is more of a respect thing. He's never been a number 1 guy. I mean, it's always been Keenan Allen. I can't put Quentin Johnston up here quite yet. As high as I am, I think he'll be the number 1 by 2024. He'll be the number 1 guy with the Chargers. Jay probably not as high as I am. I love Quentin Johnston. I think he's the best. I think he's the best receiver in the draft. I really do. I think he's got the highest upside and there's some damn good receivers that came out this year. But Mike Williams it's kind of a respect thing. But get out of here, Donovan. I think Williams gonna probably have an 1,100 yard season. Which is, not Chase or Jefferson or AJ Brown, like an elite tier 1 receiver numbers, but he'll be respectable. Quentin Johnston probably 900, 950 somewhere in there for receiving yards, receptions. It's kind of subjective. Probably both of them probably between 70 to 85 somewhere in that range which is a damn good rookie year. Keenan Allen, I don't think he can stay healthy for a full season. They have him rated as a tier 3 receiver, which I think is way too high. I saw some guy, they had Fantasy Pros had him at 15. A couple other places had him around, like 17, somewhere in that range. And I just think I don't trust the guy's health at this point. His age, just reaching the depreciation part of his career. The guys, I think Keenan Allen will be 33 or he is 33. So, I mean, he's starting to get towards the end of the rope. So I didn't include him in the top 5. Might be a little controversial there. But yeah, Mike Williams, Quentin Johnston, my receivers there. And then my number 5, Gerald Everett, I think is a very underrated tight end. Probably because, he wasn't really on anybody's radar before. He had a few decent years with Seattle, but it wasn't until last year that he kind of popped. He kind of had his, not like Kelsey breakout, but you know what I mean? Like he was probably a borderline top 10 fantasy tight end. And I think he can get there again. I think he's right in step with like Pat Freiermuth, kind of in that same group, like the bottom of the top 10, top 12 tight ends. Yeah. It was I'll see what y'all got to say. We'll get to that in a minute. But I think Gerald Everett can have, maybe 750 yards and maybe 7 touchdowns, which is for a tight end. That's a respectable season. I think 750 and 7 touchdowns is what I'm predicting. And then, I don't include it on the list there and one of my cute little graphics, but I am going to go with Jordan Palmer or Josh Palmer. Sorry. I was thinking of the quarterback. Josh. Jordan Palmer's the Carson Palmer's brother. Josh Palmer, he stepped in nicely last year when Keenan was down. He stepped in nicely in the starting lineup. Him and DeAndre Carter, but Carter, I didn't even look. I'm not even sure if he's still on the roster or not. Yeah, definitely. Josh Palmer is the guy to look at if, Keenan Allen's health, if he ends up playing half a year again, or, ends up playing 60% of the games or something. Josh Palmer is a nice number, 3-4 guy to step in and kind of keep up with those, because those numbers are going to go. This is an elite passer. This is an elite passing game. I love that they brought in Kellen Moore from Dallas. So I think they're going to continue that. So somebody's going to get the yards. The yards are going to be there through the air, whether it's Eckler, whether it's Williams, Johnston, Keenan Allen if he's healthy, Palmer, Everett. There's plenty of yards to go around for these guys, but those would be my top 5.
Ooh, interesting. Jordan, you can jump on in here because I'll let him let him tear you apart if it comes.
There we go. Yeah,
Well,
bring it on, big boy.
my rankings for the Chargers are pretty similar. I have the top 3 the exact same, and I actually have Everett at number 4, and then I have Keenan Allen at 5. So they're not too off actually. I like Williams over all the other wide receivers because I think it'll be the 2 or higher scoring ones will be Williams and Keenan Allen, and Williams has a better ADP, so I feel like it's less risky, especially when it comes to fantasy. And he's just younger too, so.
Ooh, well.
Yeah. Jay's got the graphic there.
Well, I don't know. It's for me. It's I kind of want to call this group like the 3 towers, because they're gonna have like 3 tall guys up in here. You got Quentin Johnson, who's just a big old guy. You got Williams, who's tall, and you got Keenan Allen, who's
getting
tall
X-rated
too.
here.
It kind of is, man. It's so I'm skeptical because Williams and Allen. I mean, they both kind of missed a little bit of last season, but Williams was the better guy out of Allen. I mean, Williams did put up 895 yards. They both had 4 touchdowns. Williams actually had about 93 targets. Allen had 89. So these guys were pretty close and similar, but it's Williams is a little bit younger, Allen's a little bit older. For me, I guess I'd probably go Williams over Allen first. I'm sure Allen will go somewhere I'm not sure what round he would kind of end up falling in. I didn't get that far. So minus my stats. Sorry, people. I didn't get my Chargers stats done. Besides,
maybe fifth round,
yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, I think he's 4th or 5th from my memory. I don't have it written down, but I know Mike Williams is 63 at ADP, according to Fantasy Pros.
Yeah, if you're 12-man, it'd be early 5th round, or 16-man, that'd be late 4th. Yeah, right in that. Yep, right in that range.
I know you talked about Joshua Palmer, and they had Carter in there as well. Carter, these Palmer and Carter, these guys are pretty much your 10th kind of the 10th round kind of ish players. Sometimes these guys will actually be on your waiver wires. These guys won't be drafted. Palmer did have 5 plus 25-yard receptions last year, which is not bad at all. So I mean, he's got some speed. So I mean, he saw 107 targets last year, and being that Keenan and Williams were kind of out of the mix here and there, so that just bumped up his targets a little bit. He had 3 touchdowns, 769 yards is not bad for pretty much a tier 3 guy, in this offense. But they did draft Darius Davis. I was like, who's this? Because I didn't write down. I should have written down like all this stuff, but me. I didn't do any of that dumb shit, and so
why don't you tell the story there for the audience,
right? But no, I was looking up. I'm like, who's Darius Davis? So I looked him up. They had drafted him 4th round. He's a pretty much smaller dude, 5'8", 165 pounds, kind of thing. In his college year, he actually, I think this guy will be kind of a special teamist kind of here and there. He actually put up 518 yards in 2021, 531 in 2022. Last year he actually had 5 touchdowns. Like I didn't, my fault. I didn't write down where he went to school at. But I think he TCU. So he came from TCU. I did look him up. Jeez, that's right. I was actually looking up some of these guys beforehand. But
I was gonna say quick, Jay. They might have made that like because Duggan, people, he was drafted. I think he's actually with the Chargers. I think he's like the 3rd string guy with the Chargers actually.
Yeah,
so they brought in a couple of the TCU guys, but
yeah, both of them actually.
If they, it'd be interesting to see if they made Duggan, because I mean that was the national championship team. I mean they made the finals last year, so I mean that was a damn good TCU team. But it's interesting to see if Davis and Johnston, if they made that offense. Or if it was Duggan, and then these two end up being busts. I mean, so it'd be interesting to see. But
the downside with Davis is, if he did get his offense, he'd be pretty much a wide receiver 4 in this offense. If he does get a little playing time, especially over Carter or Palmer, if one of those guys does get injured or hurt, out for a couple of weeks or something, this guy would fill in that role spot there. Limited route tree. He's pretty much a straight line track star guy. Pretty much one cut done. Pretty much so. I mean, he'll be a special teamist. That's kind of where he will fit in. But he's got a 4.3 speed. So I mean, I was checking out his 40 time. So burner, yeah, he's a burner. But Quentin Johnson, I had to go back and I had to watch some highlights of some of this stuff here. I'm like, damn, dude. No wonder why he was actually drafted first out of all these guys. This last year, and with TCU, he actually had in 2021 he had 634 yards, 6 touchdowns. I mean, he was averaging 19.2 yards per game, so average wise for receptions. And then in last year he actually was a 1,000-yard receiver. He had 6 touchdowns as well. So weakness. This is going to be the comp here. Is he going to be a 1st-round bust compared to Jalen Reagor and Doxson? So these are the guys that TC, got drafted 1st overall in these drafts a couple years ago. And I remember Doxson. I remember Reagor because he was drafted by the Eagles. But here's I think the downside is he had a lot of he's got some crisp roots. He played against a lot of softer defenses in college, so he didn't really get that kind of that press man coverage that you see now with a lot of these DBs. So we'll have to kind of see how he does with that. So that's kind of my comp, weaknesses with Johnson overall.
Yeah, he didn't score a lot of touchdowns from the sounds of it. I'm assuming he didn't play as much in 2021, or just kind of had a. Well, I mean, he was playing with Dotson from Washington was probably the starter, and then Johnston probably stepped in 2022, and that's why he put up the 1,000 yards. But yeah, that's not a lot of touchdowns. I mean, it's you don't think of TCU as being a factory like LSU. Like LSU cranks out NFL receiver, elite NFL receivers like it's nothing.
Oh yeah, yep.
But yeah, TCU, yeah, for sure. But yeah, that'd be my one concern. I think he's got all the good. I think he's got the speed, hand size, all that. Johnson's got all that. But I worry he might fall into that same DJ Moore trap that Deontay Johnson from the Steelers we talked about a couple weeks ago, where these guys just don't score touchdowns. They get targets, catches, yards. They get everything else, but they don't put those 2 feet in the end zone.
Yeah. And that's why I was thinking, a taller guy. That's why I was thinking of the Bears, the Bears who drafted, I can't remember his name. He was a 1st-round bust, So, I mean, just some of these taller guys, especially
Kevin White.
Yep. So, I mean, he was, a 1st-round draft pick, and then, look what he did. He didn't do anything. He pretty much just fizzled out, and like, dude, what the hell, dude? So that's why I'm hoping maybe Quentin does not have this happen, especially with him going to almost a nice, perfect offense, especially that with Kellen Moore being there.
You can't put numbers up in this offense. Get out of the league.
Right? Because I was gonna take a look here quick because I think, yeah, because receiving. Let me look. I was gonna look at how many touchdowns that they actually had total last year. I think it was quite a bit. So they had 26 receiving touchdowns last year. Not bad. Kind of right in the middle ish. Probably 15th, I'm sure. So I think they'll probably end up taking a boost. With Kellen Moore being there, I think this is going to be a whole different looking offense for sure.
Yeah.
But I guess quickly, who do you want to take here? This, I don't know. It's kind of hard saying. These are both both these guys could be wide receiver ones. Who would you take, Williams or Allen?
Mike Williams.
I'm also going Mike Williams for sure.
What? No Keenan Allen love? What the hell?
No, I don't trust his health. It's like a DeAndre Hopkins situation where he at his age he's still productive if he's on the field. I just don't trust that you can count on him. I really don't at this point. I think his best days are behind him. His playing, being an elite, Pro Bowl level guy, putting up 100 catch, that those years are gone. I mean, he'll be lucky to play. He'll be lucky to play, half the season.
Yeah, I mean, if he is healthy, he could hopefully plays a full season. So, well, him and Williams. I mean, if both these guys get injured, I guess Quentin could come in and just be that number one guy right away too.
Yeah,
this is true.
mm-hmm.
This next team here, unless you guys have anything to wrap up the Chargers.
No, I think we're pretty good there.
Okay,
yeah, I'm good.
This next team here, this number one spot, I see it coming. I see it coming. I said he'd be the MVP of 2022 for the season. I ate a whole plate of humble pie. I ate that whole damn thing up. I still got the fork in my sink over there last year. I'm not, Judy. Judy he's not an elite receiver. He never will be. He's damn good, but it'd be interesting to see what this. I will take Allen. I bet you will.
Yep, Donovan says
it'd
he'll
be
take
interesting
Allen.
to see Sean Payton, like the Sean Payton effect on this offense, because this might alter like some of these guys. Maybe a rookie. Maybe Marvin Mims, the kid from Oklahoma they took. Maybe he ends up being the Marcus Colston or Callaway or some like late mid-round pick that ends up being a stud in this offense here under Sean Payton. But from the knowledge we have now, team currently constructed, no Dalvin Cook rumors, no DeAndre Hopkins, anybody else that's been rumored possibly to sign with Denver. Russ, I got Russ at 1 because I don't think Jerry Jeudy is an elite guy. I don't think he's, a 1,300 yard guy. I don't even think he's capable of that. I think he's capable of 1,000 yards for sure. He's done that. But I think Russ is going to have a major bounce back season because Sean Payton will get rid of him. Sean Payton doesn't have any tolerance for that. I mean, he worked how many years he worked with Drew Brees,
right?
And he made Drew. Drew Brees was good, and then Sean Payton gets his hands on him, Hall of Fame, like all time great. Russ is going to have a bounce back season. There's just no other way to spin it. He's only 34, so. It's not like it's a Stafford situation where he's injury prone, he's old. It might be the end of the line, but I think Russ is gonna have a bounce back season. I'm thinking 4,000 yards. I'm thinking Russ gonna have. I think he's gonna stay healthy. 4,000 yards, and I'm gonna say 29 touchdowns. I'm gonna say kind of a reminiscent season of what he would do in Seattle. When he was back with the Seahawks, maybe a 4,000 yard, 29 touchdown. 7 or 8 pick kind of season. I think it's going to be a bounce back Russell Wilson kind of season. 2022 was a mirage. So you can count on that. And his stock is low. They have him at number 8 on Fantasy Pros. They have him at number 18 at for quarterbacks. He's dropped quite a bit. Before the end of, before the beginning of last year, he would have been at 8? And then, I'm not sure which round that translates to, but where Russ would have been taken, slips my mind, but definitely Russ be number 1, Jerry Jeudy number 2 for the reasons I just explained. Like Javonte, I'm going to see what he does coming back from the injury. I'm not super sold on the rest of their, which is why Dalvin Cook has been rumored to them, because I mean they could definitely use Dalvin Cook to come in and be the number one guy there. But currently constructed, I don't think Samaj P. Ryan. I don't think he's a number one back. I think he's a complimentary back like he was with Cincy. He was a nice compliment to Joe Mixon. So I think it'd be a similar situation, if Javonte's healthy. And Javonte, before he got hurt, I mean, he was one of the better backs in the league. He was probably a top 10 fantasy back before he went down. So it was a similar situation, Breece Hall and Damian Pierce from Houston, where he was on the cusp of putting up a monster year and just, never materialized. Dulcich, he was a nice surprise. Greg Dulcich, last year's tight end. I think he takes a major step. I think he steps up. We just talked about Gerald Everett. I think he's right in that range with Gerald Everett, Pat Freiermuth, like the back end top 10, 11, 12, 13, somewhere in that range. I think he's an above average tight end. I think he's underrated. And what Sean Payton's going to do with him, I wouldn't be surprised if the guy had 7 or 8 touchdowns. I think he's going to have a nice season. And Cortland Sutton, I'll put Cortland Sutton at 5. It's kind of a respect thing. I mean, he's put up stats. I worry he might be injury prone now. I worry that he might have issues, staying on the field, which is going to put fantasy owners in predicaments. Like, okay, do I, maybe you can get him a little lower. Maybe that drops his stock a little bit. You can get a reasonable, return on your pick when you do draft. So. Cortland Sutton at 5. I don't know. Like, there's so many it's such a different offense from last year because they were so inept on offense. They made Hall of Famer Russell Wilson look like he was garbage. Russell looked like he should be in the XFL. I mean, that's how bad he looked last year. And we know Russ ain't
Right?
that bad. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. Be joining my boy Jameis Winston. Cortland Sutton, he might be the odd man out. I think Judy, if he's not, if he's happy, doesn't want to be traded, engaged, Judy can be the number one guy. But I think Sutton might work his way out of that rotation. I think there'll be, like I mentioned him earlier, as my sleeper, Marvin Mims, the kid from Oklahoma. He might step up and get some targets, get up in there. Tim Patrick, he's had health concerns too. I know you had mentioned Hamler. He was coming off. Did you say he was hurt or he was coming off an injury or? I'm sorry, beginning of the show.
Yeah,
I haven't kept up on him.
Yeah, no, I mean these two guys are pretty much some minor off-season stuff. I can look it up. I think it was something with so minor knee scope on Hinton.
Oh, and Kent. Okay.
Yeah,
But they fall right into that mix. There's a lot of those guys that Mims is the interesting rookie to me because I could see him jumping a lot of these guys that are injury prone or just not very productive. So Judy, no question, number one guy. He's going to get the most targets, most yards. He's solidified. I don't think there's any question about that. Judy is the Judy in disguise with glasses. But yeah, from like 3 back, it's subjective. Like if you want to bump Dulcich up, you think he's good. If you want to bump Javonte back because you don't trust, how he's gonna, come back from that injury. Sutton, if you're a little higher on Cortland Sutton. So I'll see what you guys think, but that's my top 5 for Denver.
Go ahead, Jordan.
Well, okay, my list is definitely different, and I think I'll get some.
Black.
Yeah. So at number 1, I actually have Cortland Sutton. 2, I have Russell Wilson. At 3, I have Jerry Jeudy. 4, I have Dulcich, and then at 5, I have P. Ryan. So yeah, it's definitely a different list. I did some research on Sutton, and he was first in targets on the team last year at 109. And last year, Russell Wilson just had a bad year. And I think with I looked at it, Drew Brees averaged 34 touchdowns a year under Sean Payton. So I think Russell Wilson could go up in the touchdowns, which helps the fantasy points for all the wide receivers. And then I also like Jerry Jeudy a lot, for sure. So I like both of the wide receivers, the top 2. Yeah. Sutton just has the better ADP, which I like him.
It's there. A lot of these not everything is going to be as easy. Like when we talk about the Vikings in a couple weeks, it's okay. Justin Jefferson, okay, no question. I mean, no question. There's certain teams it's gonna be easier. Buffalo, Stephon Diggs, no question, number one guy. But yeah, with Denver, it gets a little murky. So yeah, I totally understand. I had Sutton, in my top. I mean, these guys are all somewhat productive. That's why they're in the top 5, and we didn't put any garbage in. So you're totally fine to put Sutton at 1. I liked you kept Russ up there because we all think Russ is gonna have a bounce. I mean, he wasn't that bad. I mean, that was. Oof, that season, they just need to take the tape from that season right in the trash. It's like that episode last week, right in the trash.
Yeah. Donovan says, "Holy what?"
Jinkies, Scooby.
Right? Well, I mean, Sutton might have had the targets in my, but Judy was not that far behind him because Judy actually.
They were like I think 9 or 10 targets apart, and I think what I like about Sutton is he averaged I think it was 7.2 targets a game, which I like. So yeah, I like the 7.2 targets. I like the opportunity he's getting, and I think he played 15 games, and so did they played the exact same, but he only had 2 touchdowns. But I do think Russell Wilson's going to go up in touchdowns by a good. He had 16 last year, so I think he can get up to 22 at least. So I think someone as good as Sutton also, and Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah, I'm more of a Judy fan. I always kind of have been a Judy fan. Even last year, I said I'm a Judy's fan, and I'll take Judy over Sutton all day long. Jerry, with the limited targets that they're only Judy had 100 targets, Sutton had 109, so 9 targets. Sutton had 9 more targets. So Judy actually, with the lesser targets, had more production out of what he had. He had almost 1,000 yards. So that I like. Sutton had 829. So these two guys, it's kind of it's kind of hard to go back and forth between these two guys because, could it be Sutton? Could it be Judy? And that's what it was last year. Yeah, and this was what it was last year too. You couldn't tell who was going to be the guy, and with Russ coming in, with the coaching and offense and stuff like that, pretty much a big kabloop. So I just hopefully this year he turns that around. The other thing now, so with KJ Hamler and Kendall Hinton, both these guys are pretty much. These are guys that are going to be on your waiver wire, especially in deeper leagues. You might want to take maybe a slight, but I'm more of a Tim Patrick kind of guy. He came off his ACL before he actually got injured. He actually had 85 targets, 53 receptions, 743 yards, and 5 touchdowns. So, I mean, you can kind of see that Tim Patrick could be the number 2 guy in this offense if
he could stay healthy. Yeah.
Yes,
Tim Patrick. He's got the goods.
Yep, I like him. I like him over KJ Hamler and Hinton myself because I actually got him in a dynasty league. So I was hoping maybe he can, kind of average out that 700 some odd yards, a couple touchdowns and stuff like that to kind of help out. The other thing is Marvin Mims. I know they drafted him. He came from the Sooners. He is 5'11", 180 some odd pounds. He actually had 1,000-yard season, which for a college guy, not bad at all. I mean, most you see.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I'll say my point quick, and then you can get back to. I was just gonna say he reminds me of kind of a younger, maybe great value version of Calvin Ridley.
Yeah,
similar
possibly.
size, similar college. Not. Calvin Ridley tore the college world up at Alabama, but if he can be like a little bit lesser version of Calvin Ridley, that's gonna be a damn good pro. I mean, that's like a starting level receiver. I mean, Calvin Ridley, when people forget how good he was, a few years ago.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, oh yeah, most definitely for sure. He actually had, I think, if I have my stats correct here, he had 11 touchdowns last year. 11 TDs in total. So, and he had 5 in 2021 and 6 in 2020. So his his yards per average was actually 22 in 2021, and I think it was 21 in 2022. So I mean, he was pretty much lighting it up. The upside, pretty much, he's got caliber speed, dude. I mean, he's got some good jets on him. and he could be a total deep threat in this offense too as well. So
yeah.
Limited, the only weakness is his limited route tree, and then pretty much kind of the same way that we talked about with Johnson, press coverage. We'll have to see how he does with his press coverage. If he can get off the line and get on the route he needs to run. So, but yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, that's kind of where I see with Mims. I mean, I see Mims probably playing over, Kendall Hinton, KJ Hamler. Mims can be pretty much maybe that wide receiver 4-ish, if it comes to it in the offense.
He's a dynasty guy. Like if we could do another dynasty draft, I would be targeting him like crazy. If there's like the rookie dynasty draft that we did, Mims is. I think he's the breakout guy because I just remember all those Saints receivers that Peyton made money and made stats for. So Walmart jokes, nice.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I kind of have to agree with you too.
I'm the great value Stephen A.
I mean, if you think about it, Cooks came up. Cooks. Brandon Cooks. He got drafted by the Saints, and I mean, look what he did. I mean, he was in that Saints offense for how many years before he got traded off to the Patriots, and then down to then down to the Texans. Now he's with the Cowboys. I mean, they put up numbers. Actually seen a video of I think Michael Thomas will be a guy to be reckoning with.
Yeah, I was thinking about if I had some more room in the scroll on the bottom, I was gonna maybe mention that. Michael Thomas seems rededicated. I don't know if he's he's 30 now. I don't know if he can recapture when he was younger, when he was 24, 25, when he was the elite of the elite, putting up 149 catches. If he can still be that guy, I think that time has passed. But with Derek Carr, we'll probably talk about that when we talk about the Saints in a couple weeks. But it'll be interesting to see if he's refocused down in New Orleans, like with actually legit NFL quarterback now. I'd be interested to see what's going to happen there.
And now that you are talking about that, I think Jerry Jeudy is a really good route runner, and I think as we saw Sean Payton like that about Michael Thomas, so maybe he'll use him in a somewhat similar role as Michael Thomas with the good route tree.
Well, there you go. I mean, so maybe Jeudy will be the better guy to be outplaying Sutton this year, maybe.
I like both of them, so I'm on the edge.
So quickly, with these guys kind of being the wide receiver duo here, do you guys like, who would you take? What let's see here. What wide receiver duo would you take over these two guys?
Let's talk about the teams so far that we did 12 teams before tonight. Start with Buffalo. I honestly I'd take Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis over these two. Jets. Garrett Wilson's damn good, but unless they sign or trade for somebody, I'd take these two over what the Jets have to offer. Miami, obviously Waddle and Hill, I'd take over these guys. I'd take these two over anything in New England, even with that. Maybe if they sign DeAndre, maybe him and Schuster, Juju, that's questionable. But at the time being, they're these two are better than anybody there. Go to the AFC South. Anything that Houston's got to offer, these guys are better. Jacksonville, I like Ridley and Kirk more than I like these two. Titans, these are better than anything the Titans have to offer. Anything better than the Colts have to offer. I like Pittman Jr., but these two are better. AFC North, let's see. Steelers is questionable because that's like a push. I think Pickens and Deontay are a push with these two.
Yeah, I think these two would probably be about
a wash.
Kind of similar, probably more than likely. Yeah.
Bengals, obviously, I'm taking Chase and Higgins. Baltimore, I'm taking these over anything Baltimore's got to offer. And then Cleveland, I still like Amari Cooper. Elijah Moore is not bad, but I would take these two over what Cleveland's got to offer. So about half the team so far, about 6-6.
Yeah.
So what sounds about right. This is probably a mid-pack duo. This is probably
more than likely
15 to 18 where you would rank these guys.
Yeah, because I I was trying to think because the receiving they were pretty much almost kind of 25th ish, 27th. They only had 18 touchdowns last year. So hopefully maybe this turns around and maybe all together and maybe let's say 25 touchdowns.
I think so, man. I think people
Yeah.
the stock has never been lower for Sutton, Judy, Russ, like all these guys. I think now's the time to buy. Like this, Sean Payton is going to do wonders. Like year one. I mean, this guy doesn't mess around. I think Denver's going to be cooking. I mean, they're going to be a contender. Just watch. Like they're not going to win. I think Kansas City's still going to win the division, but Denver's going to be in that contention for the 6th or 7th wild card for sure.
The Chargers winning division.
It got cold in here, guys. It got cold. Oh God. Oh God. Oh. Ooh. You know why I got cold? Because I got to talk about those damn Raiders. Oh no. Oh no. There it is. Oh God. Burr.
But
Start here.
I was gonna say here quick.
Like I said, this is as of June 28th. So, go ahead, Jay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say real quick before we get into the Raiders here, real quick. Russ's average draft position is right on the 12th round in 2 QB leagues. He's going in the 5th round, and then Jerry Jeudy is actually going in the 5th round in most drafts, and Courtland Sutton kind of right in the 9th, and then the other two guys, quick. Williams is actually going about 6th round, and Sammy about the 9th round. So he gives you guys an idea where these two guys are going. I was going to do that earlier with a couple of the other teams, which we can come back to. But
I like I like the value for P. Ryan. The 9th round. Peyton's got a history. He uses that second back, whether it was Reggie Bush or Pierre Thomas. He has a history. I think he's going to make plenty of use out of P. Ryan. So he'll get stats in different ways. He'll be a guy you draft late or in a small. If you're in a 10-man and he's somehow on the waiver wire, he's going to be snagged up like that. Russ, you say 12th round for Russ?
Yep, 12th round. Yep, give or
Steal.
take. Yep, 12th round.
That's a steal. Sign me up. Yeah, so I want in that league. Okay, if Russ Wilson's in the 12th round, sign me up.
Yeah. These are probably smaller leagues. Smaller leagues 10 to 12, but I mean 2 QB leagues, good 5th round more than likely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But now we can shift over to the team you kind of want to talk about.
I've been known to blow my load a little bit early, so hey, stuff happens. So this is as of June 28th. So we don't have any knowledge. I don't know where this guy's going to be August 15th. I don't know where he's going to be week 7 when the Raiders are like 1-5, and McDaniels gets fired. But Josh Jacobs right now, after the season he just had and the way they were using him, I think he's got another year, maybe 2 years left of being an elite back. And at this stage, I mean, if this was 2020, 2021, Davante Adams, no question, would be number 1. But due to the age and the fact that I honestly don't like Garoppolo as much as I like Derek Carr. Like I think Derek Carr is a better quarterback overall. I think he's a better fantasy quarterback, and so I think they downgraded. And for the most part, Derek Carr was healthy. You can't say that about Garoppolo. You can't trust the guy. They gotta trade for somebody. I doubt that. What are you gonna go get? Trey Lance? One 49er is not good enough. Go get 2. Right now, Josh Jacobs, number 1 guy, had over 1,600 yards. I think he could come close. If he's engaged, doesn't pull any nonsense in training, training camp and preseason, gets in there, get a contract done with him, or he just mans up, does the franchise tag. I think he's totally capable of doing another 1,500-yard season for sure. This guy's a workhorse. That would put him. Yeah, he's a top 5 fantasy back in my opinion. Yeah. Davante Adams at this stage in the quarterback situation, he's still at high end tier 2. They my beloved fantasy, but that's all you talk about is fantasy pros. I love fantasy pros. I'll get a fantasy pros tattoo soon, buddy. But so Davante is number 7, and I'm not sure. There's a bunch of different outlets: CBS Sports, ESPN. There's a bunch of places get ranked, but I would assume Devontae's probably similar. 6, 7, 8, somewhere in that range. Not quite elite like he used to be anymore. And he's probably going to get jumped by Garrett Wilson. He probably dropped 8 because I think they got Garrett Wilson lower. Garrett Wilson's going to blow up this year. So Devontae 2, definitely going to have. Stays healthy. Probably 1150 for yards. Not quite a Devontae when he was a monster putting up 1,700 yard seasons or 1,500 yard seasons. I think 1150 is reasonable. Maybe 8 touchdowns, which is still a damn good year. I do love the Jacoby Myers signing though. I think he is one of the better number 2s in the league now. I love the receivers. I mean, we talk about Hunter Renfrow here in a second. I love their receivers. I just don't trust the quarterback. I don't trust that Garoppolo. It's a similar situation to Keenan Allen with the Chargers that we just talked about. Like, I don't trust that he's going to play half the year. How can I gauge this offense when the quarterback? It's going to be they're going to end up trading. Just watch. They're going to end up trading for like Bailey Zappi. There's going to they'll get some Patriot backup or Jacoby Brissett. There'll be some McDaniels guy that ends up getting traded here, and then just throws everything out of whack. And then Jacoby Myers takes a step back from what he was doing in New England when he was the number 1 guy. Renfrow, he's one of the what do they call him, like the slot god, or what? I don't know. I'm not sure what his nickname is, but these 3 receive like as being like a combo of 3. I don't think it's quite Cincinnati. I don't think it's quite Boyd, Higgins, Chase. But I would put it like maybe number 2 or 3 in terms of like a trio, not quite the duo, but the trio. This is elite, an elite trio of receivers, and they're all capable of putting up 1,000 yards. That's the sad part. It's like Cincinnati; they're all capable of putting up 1,000 yards. You guys will probably have like draft position and where these guys are probably going, and I'm just going off my gut feeling. Myers, I don't trust the quarterback situation. I think he takes a step back. I think it's maybe 850 for yards. Hunter Renfrow, probably similar 800, 850. They're kind of be similar in yards. Catches, Renfrow might have a few more catches, but yeah, it'd be very similar. I think Myers will have more targets, so they'll kind of wash between those there. And then Garoppolo, I had to put it 4 because you got to put a quarterback. I mean, there hasn't been a single team yet that I haven't put a quarterback in the top 5. You kind of almost have to. But I'm as disrespectful with it as I can be. Like, I put Ryan Tannehill at 4 because I think he's garbage. So, and Will Levis ain't any better. But like, if I think a quarterback, I don't trust his health or he's garbage, I put him at 4. And that's how I feel about Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, it's not going to work out here. This team's going to, like I said, this is going to be a bad team. They're playing in a rough division. Denver's getting a lot better. We know what the Chargers are going to do. Chiefs, they're monsters. Like, this team will be lucky to win 4 games. I mean, it's going to be a bad team. McDaniel's getting fired. They're going to be cleaning out. Josh Jacobs, he might have 1 more year left here, but next year he'll be with the Rams because I think the Rams were already looking into him. And that might be not out of the possibility. We might be talking about the Rams a month from now, and Josh Jacobs is their starting back. I mean, that's how close this is. I mean, the Raiders, they turned this toxic with this guy, and this is my top 5. This is how I feel. It turned cold.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Donovan
jumps in here real quick.
Yeah.
Where is Adams getting traded to at the deadline? Does
Kansas
Adams
City?
does Adams get traded? I mean, they gave up a boatload to get this
wants
guy.
out. He wants out too, man. Everybody's jumping ship. I mean, these are Raiders are basically pirates. So I mean, they're
Yeah.
like an iPad.
I guess let's answer that real quick. Where do you guys think Adams? Just hypothetically, where do you think Adams could get traded?
I'll start first. It's going to be to a mid-season contender, so we got to keep that in mind. They're so crafty. Like the Titans I think they're trash and they're not very skilled, but like the Titans will find a way to get the 7 spot, or they'll find a way to win 8-9 games. They just, because Rabel's that good as the coach, they're
I could see the Titans going after him, and that's a nice spot. I mean, if he can't go back to Green Bay, which he might want to, he might want to go back and play with Jordan Love and Green Bay. If it's not Green Bay, it's Tennessee. I think Tennessee is going to make a run for him or DeAndre Hopkins.
Okay. Yeah.
Go ahead, Jordan.
I think the best spot. I mean, I think this would be crazy. I think New York Jets would be an awesome spot to see him. Back with
playing
Aaron,
Rod.
and then Garrett Wilson as a wide receiver too. I think that would be a scary offense. I don't think people would want to mess with the Jets this year.
Ooh, that would be kind of him going back with freaking Rodgers. I mean, the Jets would totally take over that division for sure.
And I think Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams they have one of the best quarterback wide receiver duos I've seen in a long time.
That'd be nasty. That'd be unfair. Devontae Adams with Garrett Wilson.
Yeah,
and then Alan Lazard back to where he should be as a number 3.
Ooh. Right?
That'd be. And they got Corey Davis too.
Corey, yeah. I'd go for it. If I'm the Jets, like, what do you got to lose? They haven't won anything in over 50 years. Like, you go for broke. I mean, Aaron Rodgers could retire at any second. I mean, you go if you can make this deal happen, and he wants out, and he wants to play. He wants to go back to Green Bay, or he wants to play with Rodgers again, or wherever. Like, you make this happen. You move heaven and earth, and you do what you got to do to go get that chip. You go get that Super Bowl. Because you don't mess. When you got Aaron Rodgers and he's actually showing up for OTAs and actually being nice to teammates. Like when you got him engaged, man. Yeah, Devontae. But he'll either be gone at the end of the season, at the end of 2023, or he'll be traded. Like Donovan said, he'll be traded mid-season. He'll be gone. Josh Jacobs will be gone. They'll be cleaning house. McDaniels. Yeah. This will be a team. I put the mock draft of some of the higher guys for the 2024 draft. This will be one of the teams trying to get Caleb Williams. Just saying.
Yeah, I know the Raiders franchise is just not doing it. I mean, I know Jimmy Garoppolo. I saw something, or not Jimmy Garoppolo. Derek Carr was saying how he was pretty upset with the Raiders for benching him, and something about his wife. I think he said, I don't remember exactly what he said. And then I know his wife cried. Yeah, and then Darren Waller, he wasn't good with him at all. That's why he left. I think something about his wedding. He didn't invite, I think any of the staff from the Raiders is what it was. So there's not.
Is dysfunctional. This is bad.
Yeah.
Maybe Adams goes to like a Detroit Lions team or a Chicago Bears team.
That'd be hey Detroit. They get Devontae. They're a contender. I mean, they could win the NFC. They get one more piece like him. Yeah. You get to play indoors. I mean, it's a dome.
Yeah.
And you get revenge on the Packers or Vikings. Teams he doesn't like probably. And yeah, no, it's absolutely Chicago. I'm not a big Justin. I'm bigger. I like Jared Goff more than I like Justin Fields. In terms of who I want throwing me the getting my stats and getting wins, and so I trust Jared Goff more than I trust Justin Fields. So I would those two teams. I'd say Detroit. I'd say try to make that.
Yeah, Detroit probably the better suitor. I was just trying to think of some teams that in that division. I'm like, Lions. I think Lions would be a good match for him. Goff likes to throw it, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. Yeah, I mean the Raiders they got at him because of Derek Carr, and then halfway through the season they just got rid of Derek Carr, so they got Devontae Adams there in a little trap, I guess, because I think that was the big reason he went to Las Vegas to play with Derek Carr. But
yeah. Just imagine you get anywhere. You get transferred to go work somewhere, to go work with your buddy or your college roommate or quarterback, whatever. Yeah. You get transferred specifically to this team for him. You leave behind. I mean, they loved him in Green Bay. I mean, he's Ring of Honor, Hall of Fame. Like Packers love that guy. He gets up and go, and then they move off because the coach is an idiot. Josh McDaniels is a moron. They move off Derek Carr after like what? It was like 13 games. They bench it. They do him dirty, disrespect. Yeah. Derek Carr he's not great, but he's a good NFL quarterback. It's a good fantasy
Yeah.
quarterback. Like they totally just disrespected him. And yeah, I
Agreed.
hope this team. Yeah, I hope they go 2-15. I hope McDaniels is fired. Then this is I'm sorry. This is the one team Jay didn't do a graphic for. We do graphic. You know, he does like a comparison for like all the team. You could tell when you could tell when the two of us don't like a team. Like we don't put a lot. Yeah, we don't put a lot of stock into the Raiders or like some of these teams are just garbage. What I got to talk about them?
Donovan says the Bears will not be a buyers at the deadline.
No,
maybe
they'll
not.
be moving off their coach and quarterback too.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Go ahead, Jordan. If you go ahead and put your insight on this, and then I'll get into mine.
Oh, the top five. One, I actually got Devontae Adams, and I really like him this year because I have seen him go in round two. And I mean, Devontae Adams round two, I've been able to pair him up with people like Barkley or Chubb or Henry. I like that top two right there. And then at two, I do have Josh Jacobs. Three, I do have Jacoby Myers. And four, this is one that I think will shock a few people. I have Austin Hooper. And then at five, I have Jimmy Garoppolo because you got to throw in the quarterback, and
Ooh, yeah, that's kind of shakes everything up there a little bit. Yeah, it's a little bit different, man. That's for sure.
Not quite George Kittle, but Hooper. Hooper was solid. He was
Whatever
solid
he was
with Atlanta,
Atlanta,
other Cleveland, been a couple stops. He's solid. Nothing wrong
I'm
with
a
that.
Falcons fan, and he was really good whenever he was in Atlanta. That's the year of the Super Bowl, and then they traded him away. But
that's another dysfunctional franchise that they got handed Bijan Robinson. They'll find a way to screw the Falcons will find a way to screw that.
Yep. See, last year when Jimmy was playing, when he did play, he got sacked 18 times with the Niners. I'm not sure how more often he'll get sacked with the Raiders. His average draft position right now is about 15th, give or take. In 2 QB leagues, maybe 10th overall. His consistency, I mean, he's a top 24 or top 12 QB about 36% of the time. So if he has good weapons around him, he can be a good, efficient quarterback when he wants to be. Devontae, that's a no-brainer. He's a top 24 wide receiver, 52% of the time. So, meaning last year in 2021, he was number 3 in fantasy points, and he was third again last year. So
just consistent.
He is.
Consistent.
His draft position right now is about first. Devontae did have 25 plus yard reception 17 times. So he was breaking out, man. Even though he got traded, he was still putting in that work. His target share was about 32%. And he saw about 22 red zone targets, and he had about 4 red zone targets. So they do use him in the red zone a little bit. Jacoby Myers, is he their number 2 guy there? Is it Renfro their number 2 guy? That's gonna be the question this year. Even though Myers was with the Patriots, and I think Myers was pretty much their number 1 guy there. he actually had 800 and some odd yards last year, 6 touchdowns, give or take. He did finish. I guess I didn't write that down. I think he finished somewhere I think it was 36. I think he was one of those two. I can't remember exactly offhand, but top 24 wide receiver 35% of the time. So he's your average number 2 guy, maybe number 1 guy if all comes to it. But he finishes wide receiver 4 good 50% of the time. So it kind of makes a break. Maybe this offense will turn him around. Maybe he'll be a little bit better. Who knows? I don't know. Do we trust the Raiders offense? Maybe they're the worst one in this division, huh? But Josh Jacobs, man, he went from being number 14th to being number 3 in the rushing categories. So
those Alabama backs, they do that though. Remember, Derrick Henry wasn't Derrick Henry his first year or two. It took him probably 3 years to get where this guy is all world. It might have been the same thing with Josh Jacobs. It was his 4th year last year. Finally tapped into that. Why he was such a high pick out of Alabama. A lot of those Alabama backs turned out like that. So might just something in the water down there.
Yeah, very possible. Josh Jacobs, he had 10 plus rushing yards 41 times. So I mean, he, each time he got the ball, good. There's a good amount of time that he's running for 10 yards plus, give or take. I mean, he averaged about 97 yards a game. So I mean, that's almost 100 yards a game. Pretty damn close last year. And he's getting drafted, pretty much in the second round. So I mean, you can get this guy in the second round.
Yeah, absolutely, great value there.
Oh yeah, and he was pretty much a top 24 back 70% of the time, which I was looking at him. I was looking at his stats, and I'm like, dude, why wasn't I drafting this guy way beforehand? Right. I'm like, why didn't I? His 4 years. I mean, he was at least in the top 20, or give or take, every year. So I mean, he wasn't below top 20, below the top 25 running back. So I mean, each year he was actually decent, good.
He was good. No, he was good, and then last year he was great.
Yeah, last year he
had his breaking. Yeah, usually running backs they start here and then but I mean this guy just.
Right to the. Yeah, Josh Jacobs. I made a video about it last year. That was the one guy I liked, and I was surprised I thought he was going to be a top 10. I didn't think he was going to go be number 1, but I mean, he was going in the 5th and 6th round, and I think, and about there, and he was. I mean, the year before, I think he got 11 points a game, which is pretty good. And I was like, he's going in the 5th round right now, but yeah, I was.
Crazy stuff, man. So I don't know. Is there pieces in the Raiders offense that we like?
I like Michael Maher. That's the one thing McDaniels did do right when he was in New England, when he was the OC over there, is they always, those tight ends were always top notch. Obviously Gronk, and then I forget who the hell, the guy who killed himself, Aaron Hernandez, a couple other guys I'm thinking about. But yeah, Michael, that was a little graphic. A lot of death in this episode. Michael Maher, I thought he was one of the better. I don't think he's quite Kincaid from Buffalo, but and I like Laporta too from the Lions. He's another good rookie tight end that's going to be playing. I think Michael Maher is number 3. Like he's the number 3 rookie tight end. This is a damn good. It's probably the best tight end draft ever, in my opinion. So,
yeah, there were some good. There were some good ones.
So there is some light in this awful season that's going to see everybody pillaged, raided, if you will. But Michael Maher is kind of a bright spot. He's gonna be a nice replacement for Darren Waller. I think he's gonna be the sleeper.
Yeah. Let's see here. I was kind of debating on. Let's see, where kind of Hunter Renfrow kind of play. Well, I guess Hunter will be maybe their number 3 guy in this offense. Give or take. I mean, they got DeAndre Carter too as well. But
from Chargers.
Yep, I think he was traded too. So
probably
they got
the number 4 guy.
Probably more than likely, give or take. They had they also got Philip Dorsett. He was pretty much a Colts wide receiver. Went to so. But in turn, I was kind of looking here. Michael Mayer. He actually, I can't remember. Was he Notre Dame? I forgot the right.
Yeah, he was the. Yep.
Okay. Yep. So. Good. So in 2021, he averaged 71 receptions, 840 some odd yards, 7 touchdowns. Last year, he dipped a little bit, about 67 receptions, about 809 receptions, nine touchdowns. So his touchdowns went up last year, not the year before. His weakness a little bit, not quite athletic. This guy will be more likely used in red zone situations, give or take. He's a good blocker, A+ blocker. He'll probably be the red zone target, probably a red zone target in there somewhere, give or take. I was trying to think of a good comp for him, and I was thinking,
Dawson Knox.
yeah, that or what's his name? Antonio Gates from the Chargers.
Gates was a little more athletic though.
But
I
he
think
was a little bit bigger guy too, though.
yeah, the size wise, yeah.
Yeah,
I think if this had been 30 years ago, this guy would be like an all world. I mean, that's how tight ends were. They were big, they could block. They weren't the greatest athletes, but they could go and get the ball, get touchdowns. A lot of those. Remember, I think it was Novacek from the Cowboys in their glory days. A guy like that. But in today's NFL, everybody, all these tight ends are basically oversized, glorified receivers. That's what Kelsey, Andrews, all these guys. So, it kind of falls out of place with that, but I think he's got a ton of value. Especially in the run game, especially with Josh Jacobs. I think they'll be fine on the ground. Josh Jacobs gets in there. I think they'll be just fine. I just worry about the quarterback. Which is gonna directly affect the receivers and that situation. But ground game is gonna be just fine with the Raiders.
Yep. And then I got one more guy here. Trey Tucker. He actually came from Cincinnati. He actually was drafted 3rd round, 37 pick this year, and he pretty much. I was watching some highlights of him, and I don't know. He kind of looks like a Barry Sanders of the wide receivers. Quick, nimble, and I kind of my comp to him was kind of like Debo, because he's kind of got Debo from a couple of years ago, maybe Santana Moss or whatever kind of vibe to him. But he's got pretty much 440 speed. Yeah, he's got 440 speed. Yeah, so I think he maybe could be a Renfro replacement, possibly. I mean, Renfro had a good year in 2021. He had that 1,000-yard season. Then with Adams coming in, that totally dipped. He only had like 330 odd yards last year, only 2 touchdowns, so he wasn't quite involved. But Tucker here last year, he actually had 800 some odd all yards last year in 2021. A couple about 4 touchdowns. He actually had about 6 touchdowns last year as well. So in 2021 or 2022, my bad. So I don't know, maybe this guy could be a replacement in there somewhere, give or take.
You boys got anything else on the damn Raiders?
I don't, but Donovan here says all 6 tight ends that the Packers had drafted.
Yeah. They went a little crazy there.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I think that kind of covers everything.
Yeah.
Can I do it? Can I do it?
Can you do it? No, I think we need to. I think we need to end the episode here. Let's get into the book of Eli and then get out of here.
We gotta talk about the Chiefs though, quick.
The Chiefs.
They don't have.
Damn.
They don't have. They don't have anything. But they do. Obviously this team. I mean, like everybody and their mom is on them. Like Jay was almost right. We almost could have skipped the Chiefs because you already know what you're gonna get. Patrick Mahomes. It's like clockwork. Yeah. The guy's gonna have 4,600 yards. He's going to have them, 38 to 40 touchdowns. Kelsey, unless he gets hurt, I know he's getting up there in age. I think he's 33 or maybe 34, but he's still the most productive tight end in the history of the league. So he's going to have 1,000 yards, probably 1,100. Going to have probably 9-10 touchdowns. They'll be these top 2 guys. Kadarius Toney, they stole him from the Giants. My beloved Fantasy Pros has him. In like the low 20s. I think he's higher. I think Kadarius Toney's. I have him around 20. I think this guy is going to blow up this year. I love what I saw in the playoffs last year. Super Bowl and against the Bengals in the AFC title game. I think this guy is going to blow up. Pacheco, same thing. Rookie last year, damn good rookie season. Edward, CEH Edwards-Helaire, he's a joke. He's not even in the mix. The other kid that they have at running back, Pacheco, unquestionably, number 1 back now, especially. I fell in love with these 2 guys after the playoff run. Toney and Pacheco, I'm sold. I'm like, Chiefs are good to go. Whether they get DeAndre Hopkins or they trade for a receiver or try to upgrade that position, they'll be just fine. Travis Kelce covers for a 1 and 2 receiver himself. That's how good he is. And then Sky Moore. That's another young guy that they drafted a few years ago. He's on the rise too. Review my trade. 12-team full PPR. I don't even know about your trade, Donovan. Put the trade in the comments and we'll get to it. But Sky Moore have it 5. Because they start to, in terms of star power, they start to dip off towards the end here. I think 5. You guys might have a different 5th guy. I think the top 4 is probably similar. They lost Hardman. Hardman left in free agency. A couple guys that could have maybe went here, but I like Sky Moore. I think the team does too. I think he's a gadget guy. He can run the ball. He's got, like you were mentioned Debo a few minutes ago. Maybe a poor man's Debo. Where you can rush with him a little bit. Does kick returns. Obviously, and going to get some targets and receptions. Probably be about the number 3 receiver. And then the kid Rashee Rice. I like the rookie that they drafted. He'll be another young guy that within a couple of years he'll be in one of Mahomes' favorite targets. So if you're doing a rookie dynasty draft or you're just doing a dynasty draft in general, late round, Rashee Rice, keep on the lookout for him. Super productive in college, and that's my top 5. What do you boys have to say?
It's all trash.
Well,
just all trash. I don't see. I'm just blind to the bottom of the screen.
It's
I don't
those
see
shades.
anything.
It's the shades.
No, but I would say my list is pretty similar. So at 1, I have Travis Kelce. 2, I have Patrick Mahomes. 3, I have Isaiah Pacheco. 4, I have Sky Moore, and 5, I have MVS.
MVS.
Yeah, Scantling. So, well, so this is the team I did a lot of digging into. Actually this morning. With McCole Hardman and Juju leaving, they have 135 targets that are now, I guess, open for other receivers. They have 7 touchdowns available for other receivers, and 1,230 yards for the receivers. And if I think Sky Moore is going to be the guy that takes a lot of these, and he had a 67% catch rate last year. So I did the math, like with a 67% catch rate, and I'm not saying he's going to get all these targets, but the points that are available now for everyone, like on the team that go around for wide receiver, is 255 PPR points, which is huge. And I don't think, Travis Kelce will take some of them, but he already has so much. I don't think, it's hard for him to take more. Honestly, he might get some of them, but I don't think he'll take, too much.
Yeah, it's pretty much Kelce was their offensive guy down there. With Juju being there, these other wide receivers down there to me they didn't really have a place. They, in my eyes, when I see the Chiefs offense, they are a dink and dunk kind of offense. They're dinking these off to these smaller receivers, maybe 5 or 10 yards out. They're not throwing it long. You're not throwing it down the field as far as opening up the offense. So, and that's the way I see. That's how I see Tony. That's the way I see Sky Moore and they're Richie James. These other. So I see these guys as not deep threats. So for me to try to get in on one of these guys, it makes it very, very hard for me to want to be like, oh, I want this guy on my team. The only guy you would want on your team, it would be Kelce, and that would be a given. Sky Moore, he was a rookie last year. I'm not really high on him myself. I just don't know. I just don't see where he, it kind of steps in or kind of is involved. What places, what role does he have in his offense? And that's the thing that kind of puts me in nimble, I guess you can put it that way. Because I know with Eli, you got Tony as their number 1 guy. Hard for me to kind of. He kind of came in. He had 171 yards. Same way with Sky Moore, 250 some odd yards in this offense. For him being a rookie, Yeah, I mean, I guess with seeing Juju being there, yeah, they'll take away some of his playing time. Piaco coming up in there, McKinnon a little bit. So I mean, you can just kind of see how this offense is, even though they scored a ton. I mean, this offense is just at least in the top 10 for sure in most categories. But MVS, that kind of reminds me here. I know you talked about MVS here a little bit. MVS, if Juju wasn't there, MVS was their guy. I mean, he would be their number one guy there. I mean, MVS, really, a number one guy? I'm like, I mean, my
mind blown. This is how this is constructed. We say this, that it's June 28th, so we have to construct as we see fit. MVS, I don't know. Maybe I still think of him as this failed Green Bay number 3, number 4 receiver that can't catch deep ball. I don't know. He's worked with a lot of great quarterbacks. If he was working with Houston, I mean, he'd probably be out of the NFL. He's been benefited from working with Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers. I mean, let's just be frank about it. This guy is nowhere near a number 1 receiver. Tony, yeah, I agree. But like you guys are saying, like Juju being gone, that's going to open up targets. And we know Kelsey is going to, Kelsey might set the record that he might have a 1,500-yard tight end season. Patrick Mahomes is going to get his yards. Patrick Mahomes ain't going to have he's still young and can chuck the ball. I mean, he's not going to have an Aaron Rodgers, towards his last few years in Green Bay had like 3,600 yards or, kind of like, just lightly, have a 200-yard game, stuff like that. Just nothing special. You're not going to have that with Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is going to get his 4,500 yards. I mean, so the yards are going to be there. I mean, Sky Moore is going to get the yards, targets. Kadarius Toney he's going to get the yards, targets. I still think they're going to sign somebody. I think they're going to sign. They're going to trade somebody. There's something being worked out. I think as a dark horse for DeAndre Hopkins. I think he could easily end up in Kansas City. I mean, it's a way for him to win a Super Bowl, to solidify his legacy, come in, be the number 1. I mean, we have no questions about that. DeAndre Hopkins is another team where he steps in day 1. He's the number 1 guy.
Oh, yeah,
he's the number. He can be number 2 in targets behind Kelsey, but as receiver-wise, he's number 1. No question.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep.
So they're not working. I mean, we're not talking about the Bengals here with their receiving core, but I trust Andy Reid. I trust Patrick Mahomes. I trust Kelsey, and that's enough for me. And I trust Isaiah Pacheco too. I think he's going to be a solid running back for the next few years. I think he's a good back, and I trust those 3. And the receivers, they'll find a way to get people, even if it's 6 or 7 guys, the yards will be there. And so like maybe it's Rice. Maybe Rice emerges. Maybe he later in the season we're like, oh Rice, he's putting up 100-yard games, or he got 8 targets this game, or he seems like he has an ability to be a deep threat guy. And MVS, I see where you're saying with because these other 2 are they're kind of smaller. They're trying to replicate what they have with Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is one of one.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Smaller, just speedy, shifty receiver. Tony ain't that. Sky Moore ain't that, but.
Yeah. MVS pretty much he was a top 20 top. He was twice in the top 20 in week 5 and 7, and week 19. He was 19th overall in week 10. But I mean, MVS had one long 57-yard reception up in there. He has 7 25-yard plus receptions up in there. So I mean, not nothing to work out or no. Well, it's nothing to like strike home about. Like, oh, this guy's flashy or whatever. He's been around for a while. Sky Moore. Well, let's see here. Let me back up just a second here. MVS is actually getting drafted in about the 19th round, give or take. He might even be undrafted, give or take. So Sky Moore, average maybe 12th round, give or take. So I'm not sure with the other 2 guys, Tony and them. I was gonna kind of ran out of time in that part. So
probably 10th round, maybe.
Yeah.
9th, 10th round.
Yep. Sky Moore had 1 25+ yard reception, and then quickly on Isaiah, he had 15 plus 10 yards per attempt, which is not bad. You know, him coming in being a rookie last year, kind of taking over that backfield. Top 24 back 46% of the time, which I get most of my nice, lovely resources from the UDK. I love that thing. And, you know, I got a little bit from the CBS site too, as well. I mean, especially with some of the 25 plus yard receptions and stuff like that. That's always handy. He was a RB1 30% of the time. So, I mean, that's a top, you know, that's top 12. Wide receiver or running back 23% of the time, which is 25, 36, just give or take, and wide receiver 4 or running back 4, 30% of the time. So I mean, I think he's kind of one of those guys that's, I mean, he's not a CEH or whatever, but smaller, nimble kind of guy. So I mean, he'll have his dues in there. And then I had some stuff with Kelsey. You know, Chelsea, he's already given. I mean, he's pretty much, he's a number one guy. I mean, he's tight end number one, no matter what. I mean, he's always, I mean, if you think about it, he's a top 12 guy, good 76% of the time. So, I mean, you get him your offense, boom, you just let it be, let it ride.
You need to lose your ability to play fantasy football if you don't start Travis Kelsey, you know, 17 out of 17. Just saying.
Yeah, for sure. Just some quick other stuff here real quick too. MVS, I mean, yeah, he had 689 some odd yards, 51% target share, give or take. Richie James, you know, he's kind of there too. He had 500 some odd yards last year, 4 touchdowns. I think that was with the Giants, I think, when I looked this up. I think that was with the Giants before he got traded. And then Rashid Rice, I was going to do something on him, but I just ran out of time. But he was drafted 2nd overall from MSU, 6'1". He had 1,000-yard season. He had a total of 19 touchdowns between 2001 and 2020. So I kind of like this guy's upside here. In 2021, 64 receptions, 670 some odd yards, and 9 touchdowns. And then in 2022, 96 receptions, 1,300 some odd yards, and 10 touchdowns. So
Monsters.
I mean,
monster season.
Yep. Only downfall I see with him that he was in a lot of jump ball situations with MSU. Hopefully he can become a better route runner. And I think he could be a big yak monster in this offense.
Yeah.
And man, he could be the number one, but not a sexy number one, you know. So
yeah, I'm higher on him. I mean, I like Tony a lot. Don't get me wrong, but I am higher on Rice than I am on anybody else. Like unless they trade for DeAndre or some disgruntled receiver, Devontae Adams or something. Rice could be the guy. We could be doing the same thing. You know, the same show next year. We talk about Rashee Rice being the number one receiver for the Chiefs. I mean, he's got that kind of skill. And Patrick Mahomes, he's going to make up for a lot of his deficiencies. Patrick Mahomes, he's that good. You know, he's going to make up for some of the stuff you were talking about, like not the best route runner. Well, it's like, dude, I don't need you to run crisp route. You don't need to be Hunter Renfrow here. I need you to go deep. I need you to catch 30 yard balls. That's what I need you to do.
Right.
And then, yes, sir. And
then, the one other guy I was, I think he was not drafted last year in 2022 is Justin Ross, and I think I kind of remember a little bit. He came from Clemson. He was actually Ty Law's favorite wide receiver, and maybe he could be, if Ross kind of comes to be, maybe he could be an MVS replacement. But you know,
Speedster,
Ross, yeah. You know, Ross kind of got injured before. I think he had a foot injury or something along one of those lines, and he had some spinal stuff that kind of limited some of his stuff in college. But I think he had an injury which shelved him last year, which kind of sucks. So I think maybe this year, if hopefully he can maybe make the cut, hopefully, and be on the squad for this year. So he might be a guy to kind of keep an eye on, especially maybe in deeper leagues, more than likely.
Yeah, 16, 20 man. Take a look at him because in the scheme of things, dude, they're gonna have to they can't pay everybody. Like there's a hard cap in this league, so you're paying Patrick, you're paying Kelsey, you're paying for the offensive line to protect, enhance those guys, help Pacheco run too, and
Yeah.
on the defensive line, like they're paying guys in places. I mean, receiver is going to be the place that they kind of have to stip a little because our quarterback's that good. He can make these mid late round undrafted free agent guys. He can make them better. And so that's the thinking. So yeah, I could see that Ross stepping in for MVS, if they move off MVS after this year. Absolutely. So there's some guys for the future too. Kansas City, what I like is they have a succession plan. They're always thinking. That's why they're the best run franchise in the league. They're always thinking ahead. They're like, okay, they knew they were gonna lose Juju, so like, okay, well, we'll make up for that. We'll draft Rashee Rice. He's kind of the Juju replacement. So I mean, they're thinking ahead. Some of these other teams are boneheaded, like the Titans for one. But
right,
I always like what the Chiefs do.
I mean, yeah. I mean, even with a lot of their dink and dunk, stuff that they did. I mean, they actually had 41 touchdowns overall. I mean, that's pretty much first. That's pretty much first. Rushing, I can't remember if they're rushing stuff here. Quick, I was gonna look at that. And I mean, a little lacking. I mean, probably good. I think they were top 10 at least with 18 touchdowns given through their running backs. So yeah. So overall, I mean, they're not a bad team. I mean, they're a good offense. Their defense is all right. I mean, I didn't look into a lot of that stuff since we're all just pretty much all offense stuff here. So, but I mean, overall, I mean, their offense, it works, even though they, not a fan of a lot of their wide receivers. I mean, I think maybe the only guy I would probably draft, and I probably should have drafted in some of the rookie leagues, was Rice. Looking at it now, and I'm like, dude, I passed up on a guy that could be their potential their wide receiver one. Oh, I believe Eli froze. Oh, snap, crackle, and pop. Uh-oh. Yeah, that's great. Anyways, I think is there anything else that you got there, Jordan, on the Chiefs offense at all? While we're waiting for Eli to come back?
Not really. I mean, like the Pacheco, like we're talking about, like the ADP at 70, running back one. There's definitely that I like. Besides that, though, I mean, I haven't really decided which wide receiver I've high, but I think one of these guys will definitely step up and I think they can have a top 20 season. If someone can take these targets that were left behind by Juju and McCole, I mean, I think I'm not sure exactly who it is, but I wouldn't be. I might even take Sky Moore.
Yes.
And
yes.
MVS in some of my leagues because they both go so late.
Yes. While we wait for Eli to come back, oh shit, this guy's calling me live on the show. What up, brother?
Hey, my fucking power went out.
What? Oh.
What the? Yeah, dude. There's like fucking. I'm looking up at the window. I'm trying to see if any other. I think there's like two guys standing outside. I think they're. I don't know if it's the whole complex. Or
wow! Well, everybody,
another guy came out of his house too. Like another guy.
You hear it here first on the stream, everybody. Eli's his stream. His power went out at his place.
Yeah, if you guys can hear me on the I'll have to finish this over the phone here.
Yeah, more than likely. Yeah, I'll hold my phone up here, everybody. Yeah, Eli has lost all power. So
when we do the Book of Eli, if we do that, you want to just put that up for the.
Yep, I will. We will. Hang on here, just a moment here. We're gonna let's review. Oh shit, wrong one. Getting all bantered up here. So let's. Donovan actually had a quick trade he wanted us to review here. So Donovan, he traded away Breece Hall and two 23 thirds for Najee Harris, Jalen Morin, Kadarius Toney, and a 2024 second round.
I do. I like Tony. I don't think that's a horrible deal. Yeah, Brees
Yeah.
Hall. You know, I think Donovan's kind of banking on like, okay, people don't know what to make of the Brees injury situation. Like, does he come back like Etienne, like Travis Etienne did, just come back like gangbusters, become an elite guy, or is he just an injury plague guy like Edward Talar, who we just talked about, like where he just washes out? So yeah. I mean, you always take that chance. I think Brees is gonna go the former. I think he's gonna be just fine. But yeah, I don't know. Kind of indifferent on the trade. I think it's fair. I'll see what you guys have to say, but I'm kind of in the mid with that. I'm like I could go either way. You kind of justify like both sides. It's not horrendous or anything.
Yeah, give or take. Jordan, your take?
Well, I'm actually a big fan of Najee Harris this year, and I am trying to stay away from Brees Hall. I mean, I think that now is a good time to sell because I mean he has that second round value because that's where he's going second or third a lot, and there is that chance that there's a lot of people have like issues, like not even just like with the ACL, they have hamstrings, different things after that kind of injury, and I mean, it's tough because I mean, it's not really like a situation where I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's not
It's
like
just pitch black
I don't know who the
right
Jets.
now. Wow.
I mean,
Crazy, man.
yeah, I don't even know who the Jets second running back is.
This is eerie, dude.
That's why I get yourself a flashlight. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to.
I I kind of mentioned to Donovan earlier, giving up Brees Hall. I mean, he's like your number one running back here in this situation. I mean, yeah, I think he said he was taking over kind of a team that he was kind of jumped into. I mean, for Brees Hall, for Najee, Brees Hall, I kind of have him a little bit higher over Najee. I like Najee. I mean, I drafted Najee like a year or two ago, first round, give or take. This last year he had a little bit down. I think Harris will maybe outproduce Brees Hall a little bit this year, but I like Brees Hall in the long run. I mean, you got his backup, Jalen Warren. I mean, if anything does happen with Najee, you got Warren. Kadarius Toney, like I mentioned, I am not a fan of any of the Chiefs' wide receiving unit besides Rice. And for getting some draft picks back, I would have tried to gotten like a first for Brees Hall to try to get kind of recomp from losing Brees Hall myself.
Yeah.
And a second. I mean, yeah, second is probably not too bad. You could probably pick up a wide receiver in the second or something like that. So give or take, I guess you could put it that way. But yeah, it kind of gives us.
He's trying to mold the team in his image. If he's just taking it over on the spot. So I get that. I've seen guys. There's always going to be stuff that's people disagree about or questionable. But I tend to give people benefit of the doubt when they're taking over a team. Especially somebody as credible as Donovan. I think Donovan knows what he's doing. You can justify either way. I think it's a fair deal.
Yeah, give or take.
Yep.
And Donovan says Power Gate because you lost your power, Eli.
Yeah.
um,
Dude, you guys have lived in townhomes, man. It's just it's eerie. I got my window, and I gotta pack my stuff. I got work tomorrow. I gotta pack some stuff, and that'll be fun in another 45 minutes when it gets dark.
Right? Yeah.
I'll be doing it with candles like they did 100 years ago with candles and lighters and stuff. Jeez Louise.
All right. So let's get into the book of Eli. So Eli's got his so Eli, you want to explain your book of Eli?
Yeah, well, figuratively, I got the book open. I know you can't see it right now. I have no power. But, so Connor McDavid won his third MVP basically, and he's the toast of the NHL. But I'm not that sold on him. I'm really. There have been a lot of great players. Don't get me wrong. Throughout my lifetime, at least, watching from, I'm more of a casual hockey fan, but I know all the major stars throughout my time watching from being a little kid to now, and Wayne Gretzky, obviously, Mario Lemieux, Alex Ovechkin, Stamkos from I'm a Tampa Bay Lightning fan. So there's been a lot of great skill guys, points, goals guys that have, just popped and, had great regular seasons, but they don't have any results in the playoffs. A lot of guys in different sports, Kevin Durant for years in the NBA, he would put up the stats, but didn't have anything to back it up until he went to Golden State and Steph Curry, he kind of grabbed him by the pocket and got him a couple rings. But McDavid, it's been 8 seasons in the league, and everybody talks him up like, this guy's the bee's knees, best thing since that era of the 80s and 90s, with Gretzky and Mario Lemieux and guys like Yager, guys like of that ilk. But I'm not a big, you can have all the regular season awards you want, dude, but the Golden Knights took Cup, and the Lightning had it for the last few years before that, and there have been other teams on runs that have been more productive. I mean, the Oilers, he's been there 8 years. They've been to the Western Conference Finals once. I mean, that's like one deep playoff run in 8 years. That's pathetic. I know it's a whole team effort, and maybe they're not constructing things around him, but if you're supposed to be the best player on the planet, you think. I mean, it took Alex Ovechkin 13 years to get a cup, so I know it's not that easy.
Crazy, it is.
But yeah, it's like it's just one of those stories of like, guy gets all these regular season awards, he gets all these accolades and doesn't have anything to back it up. 3 MVPs in 8 years is great, but you don't have a single Stanley Cup Finals appearance, not one.
Yeah, that's the game of the hockey. Like, I think we mentioned that before. Like, you see like these teams, like look at the Kraken. They weren't even a team. They sucked last year, and then this year they're in the playoffs.
They're one game away from the Western Conference Finals. I mean, they went 7 games in that semi series. So yeah, and the Kraken seem to be heading in the right direction. We see what the Golden Knights have done. I mean, they've made in
right?
6 years they've made 2 Stanley Cup Finals and have a chip. So
yeah, it's crazy. That's
it's not if you have an expansion team. I know it's a different era, from old expansion teams, but it's like when you have an expansion team, and this goes for the Wild too. Wild have been a major disappointment. They haven't done shit, but when you have an expansion team in 6 years, going to the Stanley Cup Finals twice, and you have the best player on the planet who's been in the league 8 years and can't, makes 1 Western Conference Finals and gets smacked in that series, like something's off there.
Yeah,
and that's my book, and it's closed now. It's closed on Connor McDavid. Come back and talk to. It's how I banned Tiger Woods from the show. We don't talk about Tiger Woods anymore. I'm banning Connor McDavid until he gets me a Stanley Cup final.
There we go.
One final, and then I'll be. I'm a little nice. I'm not asking for a cup. Just make a Stanley Cup Finals.
There we go. I know
what.
Yep. Yeah, I know, and I know the NHL draft is. I think it's today or tomorrow. One of those 2 things that's a given. And
we need more hockey aficionados coming, helping us out with that. But yeah, I think the draft's coming up. But Bedard. I think Bedard's the kid's name. He's supposed to be the next phenom coming in.
Gotcha.
So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what it's always hit and miss. But there have been a lot of great players the last 10, 15. Crosby, Ovechkin, Stamkos, guys like that. But yeah, there's a lot of. But this guy, he just doesn't have anything to back it up. I don't want to talk about him again. I'm done.
All right, Eli, I'm going to let you go, and then I will wrap up the show here. So.
All right. Yeah. Tell Jordan, thanks for joining us. I'm sorry my power cut out, man, but I'm gonna try to call somebody here quick because this would be a bad night if I don't.
All right. Yeah. I'll talk to you in a little bit.
All right, buddy.
All right.
See you guys.
Yep. Well, everybody, as you can hear, hopefully everybody can heard Eli in his audio. I mean, yeah, bad, unfortunate circumstances where his power just automatically just poof, pitch black. And Lacey called me to kind of wrap up his segment on the show. Other than that, yes, Donovan. Donovan says, "Great work, guys. Have a good night." Yes, Donovan, appreciate your time, and hopefully we can have some more people up in here. And I think we will be. I think Jordan and I, we might. I think Eli wants to do a mock draft. I think Jordan wants. He would probably will jump on it with us, and we might do a live mock draft. Stream sometime here, maybe this upcoming week, possibly. Not quite sure yet on that. But yeah, make sure you guys join our Discord. Jordan has Discord as well. My description or the Discord link is actually in the description, so make sure you it's down there in the description somewhere. And yeah, make sure you guys join our Apple Pods, Spotify, and Google Pods as well. If you guys can give us an opportunity to give us a review on those, that would be great to help us get out there for more people. Yeah, Donovan. Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, maybe we can do a little 4-way up in there. Yeah, it'll be kind of fun too. Yeah, we'll have to get together with that possibly for sure. And then let's see. Yep, I think that kind of covers everything. Yeah, just make sure you guys give us a review on all of our Spotify platforms. Get people so we can actually get more noticed. Is there anything else you want to mention, Jordan? Before we get up out of here.
I don't really think so. I don't think there's anything. So how do you? I guess the last question I got is, who do you think's gonna be? How do you think the rankings are gonna go in the AFC West? I mean, I think we both agree that the Chiefs are gonna be on top, but
I think honestly, personally, I like to see the Chargers winning that division, and then the Chiefs, Broncos, and then the
you like the
Raiders.
You like the Chargers winning the division?
Yes, I want the Chargers to win the division.
Okay,
that's me. Yep, that's my perspective on that right there. So I wanted the Chargers to win, and then Chiefs. Even though Chiefs will probably be given, but this is my my kind of future prediction is the Chargers, Chiefs, Broncos, and then the Raiders. Kind of how that division is going to stack out. So
yeah, I have the same thing as you, except I switched to the Chiefs and the Chargers. But sure, well, I definitely enjoyed doing the live stream. It was a lot of fun.
Well, thank you, Jordan, for chiming in. I'm glad you had some fun, and we'll probably get together again and do this again because if you want to join us we have 4 more divisions to go. So if you want to jump on in with us, you're more than welcome to.
Well, I'm down for whatever. I don't really have much going on this summer.
Well, it sounds good to me. Well, everybody, we appreciate everybody that joined us tonight. Yeah, it was a little bit long, and we had some Eli losing power. So yeah, just hit that like button, hit that that bell for notifications. Check out Jordan's channel as well, JDA Sports on YouTube, and he's got a Discord as well. We'll kind of work on that. Try to spread his stuff around a little bit too as well. But other than that, everybody, from Auto Rhythm, I'm Jamie and Jordan. Thank you for your time. We are up out of here. See ya.
Yeah.